Welcome to episode 17, Moral Dilemma. Please turn on closed captioning if it doesn't pop up automatically. You know, I started composing this blog episode a Sunday evening some weeks ago when I was meeting up with someone and was confronted with a moral dilemma. The dilemma I faced while with the person made me recall something I'd been contemplating while watching a movie some days before. The movie is named Kingdom of Heaven, and it's about Jerusalem in the time of the Crusaders. And since it's a movie, it distorts history somewhat. For example, there's the scene where Sibylla, the sister of King Baldwin, asks this newly dubbed knight named Balian the Ibelin to marry her upon her brother's death so she wouldn't have to marry this other dude, Guy de Lusignan, to whom she had been betrothed. Since there was no women's rights in those days, if she married Lusignan, he would become king when her brother died and rule Jerusalem. In the movie, Lusignan had physically harmed her and she feared for the safety of the country if he became king. He had done some evil things, like conspiring with Renaud de Chatillon in the killing of innocent Muslims so as to, in an attempt to incite Saladin, the Caliph of Islam, to start a war in the Holy Lands. Lusignan was sure that his army of Christians and Crusaders would win such a war. So Sibylla asked Balian to preemptively marry her. But he said no on moral grounds, and she told him that one day he would come to regret his decision. Essentially, she told Balian that by not doing a little bad because of his need to be good, he was losing the opportunity for a lot of good. He was losing the opportunity to save many people. And indeed, that dude, Guy de Lusignan, became king and killed and terrorized his people and those he was supposed to be protecting. Eventually, he did start a war with Saladin and the Muslims that led to the annihilation of the entire Christian army, including all the Crusaders fighting with that army, some of whom were good friends of Balian. And with his protection gone, Saladin was able to lay siege to and eventually capture Jerusalem, again with many lives lost. So was Balian right in the choice he made? A moral dilemma arises in different forms, but the basic one is derived from the question of whether the end justifies the means, if the end is something good, but the means or part of the means is not so good, meaning bad. But the question I contemplated when watching the movie was, how does my philosophy of life deal with a moral dilemma? The moral dilemma I faced that Sunday evening was in a somewhat different form from the basic question of whether the end justifies the means. And I was actually living it, not watching it play out in a movie or TV show. The person I was with was someone I'd known for some time and could consider a friend, and now was meeting up to help collect something. The issue was whether to share some information I'd found out just that evening, which would give my friend an option of taking a precaution to protect himself from a possible danger. If I told him, he might ignore the issue, or he might better secure himself, though at a cost to me of sorts. If I didn't tell him, he would probably be safe anyway, and for sure there would be no potential loss to me, but I would be taking away his choice. So I was thinking, what should I do? In the end, something came up and we decided not to do what we had planned and left the item to be collected another day. So the moral dilemma issue for me in that situation became moot because I didn't have to make a decision. But even after the issue had passed, I asked myself, what should be the path to choose under my philosophy of life? Do you remove choice from people because you feel you know what's good for them? Or do you feel there's little chance of harm coming to them if their lack of knowledge caused them to take the option that benefits you? Should you do a little bad sometimes if a greater good will come of it? I think in life, most people, including me, while not operating under an absolute end justifying the means theory, generally feel it's okay to sometimes do things that are not 100% good in order to achieve a greater good. As an example, that's where the concept of what people call a white lie comes into play, where you conceal the truth because you feel it may hurt the other person. But under my philosophy of life, good is not relative. So the answer must be that you look to be good and to do good. You do what's right. I admit that I don't always live my own philosophy, but I try. I try hard. And really, this moral dilemma I faced was a lightweight one. I told myself, if you can't choose right on the little ones, then forget about the big ones. So in the situation I faced, I feel that if the pickup hadn't been aborted, at a critical moment I would have shared my bit of knowledge. So how does it play out? When you do good, you have to base it on others around you also doing good and doing what's right. Under my philosophy of life, Balian was right. Many would disagree, and many would say that's unfortunate. I'm not even sure I'd have done what he did. But to me, in that moment of decision, he was right to do what's good. For us to reach the state of harmony I talked about in blog episode 15, we must do good every chance we get. Does that mean even to the detriment of others? As I said in episode 2, Fate versus Good, you have to do good and trust that others will too. For sure you think we get to a state of harmony if everybody does good, right? Well, the incorrigibles being who they are, that's only possible if you are able to stop bad in a way that's good. That might sound like an impossibility, but all it is finding a way to stop bad people in their tracks without doing harm to them, like killing them or locking them up indefinitely. Stay tuned.